Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have a brand new Nanmu figure to take a look at. So it's of course going to be a super awesome, exciting day when we have something new from Nanmu, as they are definitely one of my favorite dinosaur companies out there. There's just very few companies, in my opinion, that can touch the overall beauty that Nanmu continuously produces. And this one is a figure that I have been eagerly awaiting for a very long time because I am a gigantic fan of Stegosaurus. So anytime we can get a new Stegosaurus figure, I am 1000% in, unquestionably. I always love a new Stego figure from any company, and having one here from Nanmu, of course, I am even more excited than I normally would be. And even more exciting than that is the fact that, of course, we have one here based off of the Lost World Jurassic Park style appearance and color scheme and everything. So on top of having an amazing Stegosaurus sculpt and paint job from Nanmu, you have a Jurassic Park variant as well, which is, again, something that's pretty common with Nanmu, but something that's also very exciting if you ask me. As far as the boxes go, it's pretty much your standard Nanmu box. You have a really nice image kind of flipped on both sides here as far as the different variations of the boxes. One comes facing one direction, the other comes facing the opposite direction, but both are beautiful. I really love the overall appearance of the boxes that come from Nanmu. Really nice, very artistic looking boxes, I think, and I am really psyched to get these open. So let's break both of these open right now. So first of all, as always, we have the absolutely gorgeous art card from Nanmu, and look at that beautiful Stegosaurus there off in the distance. Looks like he's kind of hanging out on a hilltop or something, and I actually am quite surprised to see this as like the alternate paint variant. I would have expected the Lost World Jurassic Park style Stegosaurus to be the one that's kind of front and center here on the art card, but we actually have the alternate variant, which I love. I am a huge fan of green Stegosaurus with kind of reddish plates. That's just always been something that I really had a soft spot for, so I'm very excited to take a look at the Stegosaurus here as far as that version goes. But incredible art as always on that card, and then we flip it around, and this is almost always my favorite part, I think, of these Nanmu art cards, because I love hand-drawn images of dinosaurs, and we almost always get some of the best hand-drawn images from dinosaurs on these art cards from Nanmu, and that is no different here on the Stegosaurus art card. It is beautiful and really nicely matches up to the figure itself. Just gorgeous work on the part of Nanmu, and I'm really happy that they include these art cards all the time. And then, of course, your Stegosaurus comes with a human figure, which one's turned around the wrong way. But both human figures are the same figure, and we can see quite clearly. You could probably tell just from that quick glance. Boy, if I could figure out the top of this to open it. There we go. Now we're making some progress here. But you could tell that the human character inside is a JP3 version of Alan Grant. And we can see he's got that bag that does hold the Velociraptor eggs there, and overall, looks to be a really nice looking figure for sure. We don't really need to keep this one in, and now I just knocked Alan over. Oh man, I'm a disaster today. There we go. And then here is the main attraction, the Stegosaurus, and wow, does that look beautiful. That is obviously the Lost World Jurassic Park style variant here, and that is really nice. And then we have the alternate paint variant, who now is going to completely eclipse poor Alan back there, who will have to move over. But the alternate paint variant there as well is incredibly nice. I am really psyched about these figures instantly after opening them. I really love the beautiful vibrant greens, and I love how they actually look like they could easily be part of the same group, the same herd, but again, just slightly different variations of color. Really cool looking. Almost looks like it'd be a male and a female, which is something that we also seem to get quite often from Nanmu, as they usually kind of provide a brighter coloration and a darker coloration on their figures, and kind of making one look like a male, one look like a female. Although we have a Lost World Jurassic Park style version and just a kind of random paint scheme that they've come up with here. At the same time, it also does kind of appear as though a male and female as far as the brighter and darker color schemes, but both of these look gorgeous here at first glance. So let's go ahead and get a closer look at both right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of the Lost World Jurassic Park style variant, The head sculpt is about as picture perfect for a Jurassic Park style Stegosaurus as you will ever find. That is incredible. And on top of having a beautiful, very accurate looking head sculpt, the paint application on the head is really, really nicely done, as is the overall detailing. That skin texture is just off the charts. Beautiful up here. And oh wow, I love how they've given this that kind of like nice brown wash in certain, well, actually almost the majority of the figure kind of has that nice brown wash. It looks great. I love that because you always kind of have like that little hint of brown on these dinosaurs in the films, as there's like just brown mixed in with the green, and they've done a great job of really giving it that kind of a look. And I think they've matched the paint job up really nicely to the film version. But again, up here at the head, I'm kind of getting off track. You can see the beak of the Stegosaurus is quite beautifully painted, very nicely painted overall, and there's a nice amount of detail included in the beak area, and you can see it really beautifully thanks to that great paint job that they've given it right there. Again, some really nice variations of color here in the head sculpt of the Stegosaurus. Beautifully painted eye, very nice and carefully placed. There is absolutely no sloppiness anywhere in the head sculpt of the Stegosaurus, and you can see the same deal over here. Man, that Stegosaurus head sculpt right there just seems to have so much life to it. It's such a beautiful, beautiful, very highly detailed and very accurate to the Lost World Jurassic Park style Stegosaurus head sculpt, and I love every ounce of what I'm seeing here on this figure. This is again something I've been really excited about for a long time because, again, being such a huge fan of Nanmu and finding out that they were making a Stegosaurus, I was so unbelievably impatient to get these figures in hand and take a look at them, and boy am I ever happy to see them here and just how good they have actually turned out. Coming back here into the neck, there's lots of detailing in the neck region of the figure. Really nice skin texture as well, and look at that paintwork. Again, so many different variations of like greens and browns included there. It's just beautifully painted. Really nice detailing here in the throat region. You can actually see the throat itself, as well as some nice skin folding going on here in the side of the neck of the Stegosaurus. The plates, of course, start to pick up here on the top, and they as well are beautifully painted. They appear to have like a nice dark wash, but then there's also a nice mixture of browns, and there's actually some really light hints of like green in the plates as well, which is really, really cool. It's kind of something that you almost don't even take note of unless you get it into like that perfect light that it really shines through, but it's just an ever so subtle touch of like greens in certain areas on the plates. I think that looks really, really nice. As we reach the body here, you can see again the paintwork is off the charts. So many different variations of like greens and browns, and it's so perfectly applied how it just kind of runs in between the cracks and crevices of the skin texture. It just looks insanely, insanely nice. As we start to move down that front leg, that leg is very nice, very large and muscular looking overall. The skin texture continues to look phenomenal in every area of this figure. I really like the skin texture running down the leg here. It just looks so realistic. You also have the elbow sculpted out back here. Again, that fantastic paintwork, really nice foot sculpt down here. The nails are painted beautifully. They also have a nice gloss coat on them, so they shine quite realistically overall. And then coming back up into the stomach, you have that nice white coloration that is exactly what you see on the Stegosaurus in the Lost World Jurassic Park, how that kind of like an off-white sort of embraces the stomach region of the Stegosaurus, and they've captured that perfectly on the figure here. And you can see as we kind of move this, the transitions between colors is, as usual, really, really smooth, really natural on the figure as a whole. I think they've done just a tremendous job of the actual paint application here. Again, really, really nice skin texturing all throughout the figure. You can see it gets very large, very rough looking overall as far as the skin texture goes on the Stegosaurus. You can see the really nice hip bone right here as well. And then moving down into the thigh, the musculature is really nicely displayed. Yet again, we have some incredible detail to the skin. You can kind of see like the skin reacting to the movement in general of the body and the way it's walking along. This is definitely one of, if not the most highly detailed Stegosaurus figures that I have in my collection, no doubt about that. I love the skin kind of reacting here to like the leg pulling back and stretching that skin. Such beautiful, very realistic detailing on the figure. Really nice kneecap present right here in the front of the leg. Beautifully defined calf muscle as well, and then it transitions to a lighter color down here on the feet. Really nice foot sculpt again. There is a gloss coat there on the nails, and you can kind of see like some skin scrunching up there as the Stegosaurus is kind of crushing the foot just a little bit as it's taking a step. It's just kind of bending the foot, so it would be really kind of bunching that skin up right there and wrinkling the skin. So very nice attention to detail on the part of Nanmu as always. And then coming back up here into the tail, again, lots more going on as far as like skin wrinkling and everything, and just showing the movement of the body. You can continue to see the really nice brown washes and everything that are included on this figure, making it look extremely, extremely realistic. And then as we move out the length of the tail, that skin texture continues to look absolutely gorgeous until we get out here to the thagomizers on the end of the tail, and they as well are painted beautifully. They have a really nice kind of dry brushing to them, to make sure that they bring out all of that very realistic detail and make it look as beautiful and as realistic as possible. They look really, really good. And the plates as well are, again, insanely highly detailed. Like, look at the amount of sculpt included in the plates up here on the back. That is just a lot of detailing included up there. Really, really nicely done, and beautiful paintwork up there. Again, as I stated, there are a few different variations of brown. They kind of appear to have a nice dark wash, and then a few subtle areas of kind of green creeping through. When we turn the Stegosaurus around and take a look at the opposing side, again, really, really nice detailing here in the neck region. Beautiful skin texture. You can really take note kind of the throat in general of the Stegosaurus. As we lead back here into the body, again, you can kind of pick up on the shoulder blade a little bit there. Beautiful curvatures here in the leg as the dinosaur is taking a step, and all of the skin sculpted in here really appears to be reacting the way it would exactly in the positioning of the body. Like, lots of nice creasing going on in the elbow area as well as the wrist area. You can really see how they've done a great job of sculpting out the detail in a very realistic way. You can also pick up on the elbow over here. Even the undersides of the feet have some very nice sculpt and detail to them. And then coming back up into the stomach region, you again have that really nice kind of an off-white coloration, which I think the colors that they've actually used on this figure are perfect to the Lost World Jurassic Park Stegosaurus. Like, they really hit the tones right on the head as far as the coloration goes. But again, you can see really nice detailing, lots of skin folding and everything going on here in the stomach. On this side, both legs are kind of pushing into the stomach, and you can really see how that skin is bunching up in the stomach region overall. The skin texture continues to look incredible all over this figure. As we lead up here into the top, the skin texture gets nice and big and rough looking overall, and you can really see how nice that paintwork has brought out every ounce of detail on the figure. Coming down here, you can pick up on the hip bone again. Beautiful muscle tone in both the thigh and calf region as the Stegosaurus is just walking along. This leg is pretty much planted and almost in a straight up positioning. You can see the kneecap again over here. Really, really nice detailing as far as the skin texture as we move down into that foot. The foot sculpt once again looks gorgeous. And then coming back up here, you can see the skin kind of playing off of the movement of the leg right here as the skin's kind of stretching. Very realistic amounts of detail. The fine detailing of this figure is just unbelievably well done. And then we lead out the length of the tail. Again, beautiful skin texture, beautiful paintwork, lots of realism to the figure overall until we get out to the thagomizers here at the end. And then again, looking at the plates on this side, it is insanely highly detailed, really, really nicely painted, and you actually have some beautiful paint on the insides of the plates up here on the top as well, and getting a nice look in general of the figure from the top. Wow, that looks so good. I really, really love Stegosaurus, and this Nanmu version is about as top of the line as a Stegosaurus gets. And then you can see some more incredible detailing here on the underside. Lots of really nice skin movement shown in general all over this figure. You could just see kind of skin wrinkles galore in every area of the figure, showing again as much movement as they possibly can in the sculpt. But that is a gorgeous Lost World Jurassic Park style Stegosaurus. I don't think it gets any better than that. And then we have the alternate paint variant, which now that we've reviewed the sculpt of the Lost World version, we don't really need to review the sculpt of this because we already know exactly what's going on sculpt-wise. We only need to review on this one what's different in comparison to that one, and that would be the colors. And you can see some really nice coloration up here on the face with a nice light green. And again, a beautiful dark wash has been applied to the face of this Stegosaurus to really bring out the detail, all the cracks and crevices within that skin texture. Really nicely painted eye, just like we had seen on the previous one. And this eye as well is perfectly placed. Again, there is no sloppiness at all as far as like the eye placement goes or anything like that. Nanmu really takes their time with their figures, really puts a lot of care into their figures, and you can see that with pretty much every single release. The Beak is painted beautifully, a little bit different than we had seen on the previous one. This one kind of tips off with a nice brownish coloration, which looks really, really good, and I think plays off of the coloration of the face beautifully. And then as we move back into the neck, you could see some nice variations of lighter and darker greens, and you can even see like a darker green that stripes down from the upper side of the dinosaur and runs pretty much the entire course of the body, and you can see that green continues to look great the entire way through. This one has a lot darker of an appearance to the nails on the feet. The other one had more of like a creamy coloration. This one has a dark green, it looks like. And they are again really nicely glossed, very realistically glossed. Coming back up into the stomach region, you have like a lighter green here in the stomach, and it transitions very smoothly to a darker green the higher into the body you go. There are also a few mixtures of like some browns showing up here, some hints of browns. Really nice coloration here on the underside as well. A nice light coloration, but you can also see like a brown kind of wash that's been applied to, again, make it look super, super realistic as far as the paint application goes. You can really make out those stripes right here, up here on the back. It starts down here, but it's not as obvious and not as visible as you can see up here. The plates as well are given a really nice dark wash, and you can see that they're like a reddish brown overall, so it looks super appealing if you ask me. And I always loved the way like reddish plates or reddish brown plates play off of a green body on a Stegosaurus, and you can see that is about as striking, I think, as it gets as far as that paint application goes. You can once again see some darker greens in this area that run along the front of the rear leg, but also some nice lighter greens here in the back of the rear leg. And then those dark green stripes transition to a much larger striping here as we get back into the back of the body. And I love the way these stripes are applied. Look at how smooth and realistically applied those stripes are. Sometimes when you'll have like a striping effect on dinosaur figures, it'll look more like paint on a figure rather than body color, but that is absolutely not the case right here. That is 100% body color from what I can see here, and it's gorgeously applied. Really nice brown stripes that again transition from that dark green to now brown, a nice dark brown, almost like a burnt umber. As we transition out here into the tail, we could see the thagomizers here. I love that the thagomizers kind of darken here at the base and then transition to a nice lighter brown out onto the actual tail spikes here, and you can see how very nicely painted they are. Nice dry brushing appears to have been applied to bring the detail out really nicely. The stripes actually continue the entire way out the length of the tail. And then looking over here at the opposing side, again, more beautiful variations of green. You can see, of course, it's going to follow that same style of paint. I actually think like I can see almost like hints of yellowish greens in the stomach region as well as that light green and variations of brown. So much color variation included. Again, the stripes look great, really nice and subtle the way they're applied here. They're almost like hard to pick up on because they're so lightly applied, but it's a really cool touch to the figure overall. And then they get nice and dark when you get to these darker brown stripes as you lead out into the point of the tail, and it just looks incredibly, incredibly nice. The plates, yet again, over here look fantastic, and they have a little bit of a gloss coat to them, and you can really see them shining, which helps those plates to really stand out. As if the really nice paintwork didn't do it enough, the gloss coat will help as well. And even from the top, it looks beautiful. The underside also looks beautiful. So much incredible paintwork, so much incredible sculpt work. Both of these Stegosaurus figures are unbelievably nice. And then we have our Alan Grant figure, and he's probably going to be a little too hard to see. You can definitely make out what he looks like. It looks like a great sculpt overall, really nicely done and very accurate to the way he appears in Jurassic Park 3, but the very bright coloration always just kind of shines away the detail due to the lights hitting it, but it honestly looks incredibly nice, and I love that Nanmu continuously includes human figures. Although we did have a break with the Ceratosaurus, we had a shark as opposed to a human figure, but once again we now have a human figure here, and I am happy to see them make a comeback, and it's an awesome choice on the part of Nanmu because it's given us so many human characters that we otherwise probably would not have figures of. I do want to paint kind of like, I usually get an extra one with each set because I want to keep the originals like this, but the extras I kind of want to paint at some point, and I'll have one of each of the humans painted and then non-painted because I like to keep them original as well. But I think throwing some paint on them will bring that detail out really nicely. But another awesome addition to these Nanmu sets. As far as a size goes, for a length on our Stegosaurus from the tail to the head, you are looking at about 10 3/4 inches or about 17.5 centimeters roughly, which it's a very large Stegosaurus figure for sure. And for a height, about 5 3/4 inches or about 13.5 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon next to our Nanmu Stegosaurus figures. And I think next to these guys here, you should absolutely have a really good idea overall of the larger size of these Stegosaurus figures. And they are definitely very big, but you can also see how beautiful they are in general next to some of these other figures. Like, they really outshine the Papo T-Rex, and the Papo T-Rex is probably one of the most coveted collectibles of all time, and you can see that these Nanmu Stegosaurus figures, both sculpt and paint, really look much better than even the Papo Rex does. But for another size comparison, there is the Nanmu Allosaurus next to the Nanmu Stegosaurus, and I figured this would probably be a comparison that many people would want to see, as of course these two species would have most likely interacted quite a bit, even outside of Jurassic Park, but you can really see how beautifully sized they are to each other. A really, really nice looking set of figures. Actually, looking at the Allosaurus here with the Stegosaurus, they really look like they should go together. Even like if you were to create a diorama with these two, the positioning of the Allosaurus kind of leaning down looks like it's almost at a perfect position for like attempting to attack the Stegosaurus. So that is a really cool kind of a little aspect of these figures that I didn't previously notice or know about. But again, hopefully with the Allosaurus next to the Stegosaurus, you'll have a good idea of the size. And anybody that was looking for a comparison of the two will hopefully see exactly how awesomely they match up right here. So these brand new 2020 Nanmu Stegosaurus figures are both incredible, and I did not expect any less. Nanmu continuously just blows me away with each and every release. These figures continue to get more and more beautiful every single time I get a new Nanmu figure, and these Stegosaurus figures right here are a great example of that. Again, I was greatly anticipating their arrival, kind of checking the tracking number every couple of minutes. It almost feels like at this point, because I am a huge fan of Stegosaurus. So the arrival of the Nanmu Stegosaurus was definitely a big deal for me, and having them here now out of the packaging, I can say without question the torture of waiting for them to arrive was 100% worth it, because both of these figures are incredibly well done. The Lost World Jurassic Park version is beautifully sculpted. Of course, both of these are fantastic sculpt-wise, and the sculpt is really nice and reminiscent of the way that the animal looked in the Lost World Jurassic Park. I think the overall appearance was pretty much nailed by Nanmu here, even including things like kind of like a pot belly. They sort of look like in the film they almost have like a little pot belly to them, like really big kind of a gut on the Stegosaurus, and you can see even that is displayed here in the sculpt of these figures. But as far as the actual paint scheme here on the Lost World Jurassic Park version, I think they nailed it completely. The application has pretty much all of what I look for in a Lost World Jurassic Park style Stegosaurus, as you have that kind of like a nice off-white there in the stomach that almost engulfs the entire stomach region, and then the rest of the body is kind of like a nice mixture of browns and greens, and they completely hit the nail right on the head as far as that coloration goes, and really included quite a bit of variations of browns and greens throughout the figure. The plates as well look great, and I love the fact that they have a little subtle touch of greens, like real light hints of green within the plates, and then a beautiful dark wash and nice usage of browns and everything up on the plates. The alternate version, which actually is my favorite here, which is no surprise, again with that green color scheme and that kind of reddish brown coloration to the plates, it's pretty much my complete preference as far as a Stegosaurus goes. But you can see they've done a tremendous job on the paint scheme of this one as well, and again, this is most definitely my favorite of the two. Even though I love the Lost World Jurassic Park version, this paint scheme really kind of just tugs at my heartstrings, so of course I like that one a little bit better, but I feel like the application of the paint on that one as well is beautifully done. Everything on it looks like the actual body color of the animal, really nicely applied, really realistically applied. All the colors transition back and forth, and everything generally looks like body color as opposed to paint on a figure. And again, they've done a great job on both figures, including things like nice washes and everything to make sure all the detail pops beautifully on each figure. The pose is really nice, as it's just kind of walking along, looks nice and natural, and actually is kind of reminiscent to the scene in the Lost World Jurassic Park where we we initially see the Stegosaurus walking through the creek, and it really kind of takes me back to that scene and the way that the Stegosaurus appeared as it was walking through, just kind of taking a nice leisurely walk through the stream bed there, and again, really the perfect pose, I think, for a Jurassic Park style Stegosaurus, because it really kind of brings you back to that moment where you first see the Stegosaurus and you're just kind of in awe. It's beautiful overall. And then you have the inclusion of the really cool Alan Grant figure, which I love having a JP3 style Alan Grant. Again, I do need to paint the alternate versions of these figures at some point because I think they would look fantastic with paintwork on it. But this set as a whole is a total win. There's no questions asked. This is just an unbelievable release yet again from Nanmu. So if you would like to pick these up, I will include a link to Dan's Dinosaurs where you can head on over there right now and buy yourself one or both of these beautiful Nanmu Stegosaurus figures. So make sure you check the description. Go pick yourself up these fantastic new Nanmu Stegosaurus, and make sure you also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.